What's up, guys? Brian coming at you. I'm very excited for this video because I have been doing the OMAD diet for about 2.5 months. It's still going. I love it. I've been thinking about everything I want to say, pros, cons, etc., etc. So just a couple of things to start us off. Number one, this video is going to be a little long, so you might want to watch it in chunks. All right, there's a lot to talk about with this diet. Number two is I'm recording this on my laptop, and it's not the best sound quality, not the best video, but my daughter's talking to her grandmother, my wife's working on her business stuff, my son is outside, and my daughter has my phone that has like amazing quality, Galaxy S10 Note Plus, let's go. So I have to use my laptop, which is not the best, but bear with me. I hope I don't regret, doing it, but I've wanted to record this so bad, and I have the time to do it now. So without further ado, let's jump into it. All right. So number one, OMAD stands OMAD. It stands for 1 meal a day. Yes, folks, 1 meal a day, right? It's crazy. So my whole journey, I'm gonna share a little bit about my journey. Okay, I tried keto 2 years ago. And I really liked keto a lot, but I knew from the start, from like day 1 week into it, that it wasn't going to be sustainable. But I was knocking off like a pound a day in the beginning. It was really good for weight loss. So I did that, and I did it from 4 months, and I lost about 20 pounds on it, about 15, 20 pounds, and I gained about 5 to 10 back, right, over the course of 2 years. And so with gaining that back, I felt like, okay, I need, what I really liked about keto and what I lost was this whole concept of food addiction, right? I love sweets. If any of you know me personally, I love sweets. I won't turn it down. I'll eat any sweets you put in front of me, right? And so I love it, and it's like an addiction, to be honest, right? And so recently I was trying to lose weight again. I kind of was trying to do the keto thing, trying not to do it, trying keto and trying, to lose weight, but it wasn't really happening. I was kind of half foot, half out with a keto because I was like, man, I know I can't sustain it. And it killed my libido like really bad. And so I wasn't trying to do that again. And so I felt like, man, I want to lose, and there's a lot of fitness people I follow on YouTube, specifically the guy from Gravity Transformation. I forget his name, but it's called Gravity Transformation. It's really cool, and I've heard people talk about this 1 meal a day thing. I met a 70-year-old guy in a gym doing more pull-ups than me, and he told me, like, yeah, I live hungry, I eat 1 time a day. I coached a guy in breaking before who was an older guy, 65, was able to do splits, all that stuff. Glenn, if you see this, what's up, bro? And he told me about kind of the 1 meal a day. So I've heard about it, but in my mind, I'm like, I don't fast well, and I'm not gonna try to eat just 1 meal. That sounds crazy, right? So I don't fast well. I don't even fast when we do it, at church and stuff. And I just felt like it was crazy. However, I've tried a lot of stuff, and I got to a point where like I felt like I wanted the benefits of the keto diet when it came to breaking my food addiction, because it's a very disciplined diet and I like that, but I didn't want the results of keto necessarily and having it not be a lifestyle. So I, kind of out of the blue, I was like, let me try OMAD. Now, mind you, before this, I've tried 2 meals a day, 2 meals a day, which I would skip breakfast, but then pretty much snack and eat throughout the rest of the day. And I didn't lose any weight, right? And so mainly OMAD, I didn't think I would stick with it forever, which now I am, but I didn't start off thinking I would stick with it forever. I felt like I would do it to break the food addiction, right? And I didn't have a timeline. I was like, let me just try this for like 3 days and see, what would happen, right? And so I researched a lot. I followed a lot of different people, on YouTube. I researched, and I found out a lot about it. And so, I started, and this is what I learned from OMAD. I love it. First off, it's really, really awesome. A couple of the things that I have some notes here. I'm gonna break them down. All right, so my experience with OMAD. So first off, I researched a lot before I got into it. So I recommend anybody trying to do it, research the benefits and what's good about it. Is something that's going to help you stick it out to the end because there's so many benefits. The first 3 days were very difficult. They were difficult to fast. And it was actually one of the most difficult things was actually to eat, because after fasting for 24 hours and when you eat, your body is like, what in the world? So it's like freaking out. You're tired. It's just a lot. So the first 3 days are definitely difficult. By the 8th day, it became normal. And by the 3rd week, I feel like it became a lifestyle. So it definitely gets better. As far as sticking to OMAD, like strictly OMAD is it's a type of intermittent fasting, one of the most extreme you can do, where you only allow yourself a 1 hour eating window. Now, in the first couple of weeks, I followed that very religiously. Now I'm doing something a lot different, which I wouldn't even call OMAD, but we'll get to that later. So I drank 2 cups of coffee with 1 tablespoon of almond creamer in the mornings, which is like 50 calories. So that's what I did. Coffee helps a lot. I'll make another video on some tips to get through OMAD and what it takes to get through it. But the coffee helped a lot. I took a prayer walk every day I took a prayer walk. I usually walk about an hour, which is about 3 miles. So I do that every day on OMAD as well, which helps. In the beginning of OMAD, I consumed a lot of calories during my meal. I was like, oh man, I got to eat all these calories. And so I consumed like as much food as possible. I made a video with my kids. I may post it, and it was hilarious. Food becomes super, super good, especially in the beginning. You fast for 24 hours and you bite into anything, salad, and you're like, that's the best thing I've ever tasted in my life. So I started in the beginning consuming a lot of calories. Where I'm at now, I eat practically a basic meal. So I eat a basic meal. I did do OMAD, eating healthy. There's a girl that made, I wish I had her YouTube thing, but she made a thing about her experience over 30 days. And she seemed like she was struggling like a lot. But it was a great video. I'll try to put a link to it. It was a great video. But you got to eat well. I don't think she ate well, but you got to eat well on OMAD. Like, plan your meals out. Definitely plan your meals out. So now I'm eating more of a basic meal. I do count my calories now, which is something I didn't do in the beginning, which helps out tremendously with doing this type of diet, because you really see how many calories you eat, and that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, so I eat a basic meal. My food addiction definitely broke for sure. Where I don't want to eat a lot. Like, honestly, I couldn't imagine eating 3 meals a day anymore. Like, I could imagine it. Like, sometimes I do get really hungry, but for the most part, like, every day I'm going to eat 3 meals. They're literally in my mind at this point feels like, okay, that is a lot of work to do, like, to eat 3 meals. Having to eat 1 meal is just easy. It's like, okay, cool, 1 meal this time every day, etc., etc. So that's really cool. But food addiction is definitely broken. Like, I see different things, and the discipline that it creates inside of you is just, it's addicting. The discipline is addicting. One of the hardest parts of OMAD is actually planning what you're going to eat. I can't stress that enough. You think like, oh, if you're trying to eat healthy, if you don't care, I think you're going to struggle with OMAD if you just eat fast food and all this crazy junk, right? Because your body is not really going to respond right. It's not going to have the certain nutrients and things that it needs. But planning is actually the hardest part. People say, oh, OMAD saves you time. And in the beginning, I would say like the first month, it's like what you're going to eat is like on your mind. Like, oh man, I got to make this food. And it's a lot. After you get into a habit, it helps. But I got some tips for you in my next video about that. I wrote these notes a while back, so I'm looking at them like, oh man, that was crazy. For me, the hardest time of the day was the night, going to bed on an empty stomach was very difficult. I started OMAD eating at lunchtime. So I would eat lunch, and that was it. So no breakfast, no dinner, just lunch. That was my 1 hour feeding window. And the nighttime cravings were the most difficult for me. Where I'm at now, I actually just switched. I switched from lunch in the middle, and then I switched to dinner, and now I'm back to lunch. But I feel like now, just the discipline is built. I can kind of eat any time of the day. I've never tried morning before. I'm scared of mornings, just to eat in the morning, then the whole day you don't eat. But I feel like at 5 or at 1 or at 12, something like that, I'll eat. But I can kind of flex it now. But in the beginning, the lunch times were best for me. So a lot of people like to do nights. But that lunchtime that's a hard hump to get over for me. One other thing too, my experience, passing gas, the farts, they don't stink anymore. It just goes away. I think your body, the way it processes, and then I was eating clean, so it could have been due to that as well. But no more smelly gas. Yay. I had a bowel movement, I have bowel movements like every 2 days, and it's not a lot. I know it's a weird thing to talk about, but that's just one of the things with OMAD, just how your bowel movements are. It's once every 2 days. And again, it's pretty normal. Everything's good. Before, I feel like my body was all kinds of doing stuff. Even though I tried to eat healthy, but it was doing all kinds of weird stuff. But now it's pretty consistent every couple of days. Also, it depends what you eat too. So you got to understand, you only eat in one meal. So if you don't eat a lot of carbs or you lack protein and stuff, it's going to show in your bowels. So your bowels will tell you whether that meal was legit or no. All right. When I did keto, my libido went down from like 10 plus to like 0. Literally, it was one of the craziest phenomenons in my life, and it was so like odd. I think as men, we can define ourselves by our libido sometimes, to be honest. And for it to go from a 10 to 0, that was really crazy. For OMAD, it really hasn't changed, which is a blessing. I'm like, thank you, God. It hasn't been affected so much. I wrote a note on here that says crashing. So do you crash after you eat, when you do OMAD? Do you eat that one meal and crash? It depends on what you eat. I found in the beginning, which is not as true anymore. In the beginning, if I eat a lot of carbs, I'm gonna crash. But if I do keto, OMAD, and for those of you who don't know, keto is a low carb, a super low carb diet. So it's a lot of meat, vegetables, right? Or if you don't eat meat, it's a lot of veggies. And veggies. Get creative with those veggies. So I found in the beginning not to crash, I would do keto. So I would eat very little carbs. Now the way I eat when I eat OMAD, I specifically eat my vegetables first, protein, and then carbs. I do it that way. And it may seem like, why is that so meticulous? But for me, that actually works that way. I find that when I eat carbs, I get full really quick, and it's hard to eat. And that's one thing with OMAD. You got to kind of teach yourself, which is kind of weird that you're doing a diet to kind of cut weight and get healthy. But you got to kind of teach yourself to binge eat, which is kind of weird. But not in I don't want to make light of that because I know some people do it. But not in an unhealthy way. But you got to eat everything you need to eat. And so for me, in order to do that, I have to eat certain things first. The light to heavy. So that's how I eat, and it really works for me. But you will be surprised how much you can eat in one sitting. And you actually eat and you feel full. That's another benefit of OMAD. You feel full and you feel ready. You can feel your body processing the food and using it for good stuff. I don't know, you can feel this energy, which is cool. Man, I dreamt about food on OMAD. I don't do it so much anymore. Every now and then, I look at food differently now because I'm not eating all the time. So it's like I'm dreaming about food. And I made a video, a donut review. If you see it, it's me doing the OMAD thing, and it's just like everything I eat is I'm loving it. And so I was dreaming about food, which is really funny. So I did not start OMAD to lose weight. I started to break a food addiction so that I can lose weight. I did end up losing weight on it, which is really, really awesome. There are days, just because you're doing OMAD doesn't mean you're going to lose weight. I weigh myself every day, multiple times a day. I like to see the changes from every little thing I do. But one meal a day doesn't mean you're going to lose weight. There was actually days I gained weight. And so now, like I said, the past week I've been tracking calories, which is really cool. I've never done that in my life. And so to do that now, it's really cool to see what you eat and how much you need. Like I said in the start, I started with these big meals, and now I just eat these smaller meals that have nutrient-rich, dense food. If you guys want to know what I eat, I can make a video on that too. Let me know. Ask in the comments. My next note was what I eat, so I will still make a video on it, but we'll talk about it now too. So I had a base. If you're doing OMAD, one of the tips, have a base food that you eat, right? My base is kale and spinach salad with avocado, egg, cilantro, almond flour, flaxseed oil, balsamic vinaigrette. It sounds like a lot, but when you make that stuff every day, it's not really that bad. I ate 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. It's good. Dark chocolate, and is that it? And salmon. Like a little less than a pound of salmon. That was my base, and I added it up, and I get all the nutrients and things that I need. So I eat the salad, the salmon, and then I'll eat a carb. So sometimes quinoa. Sometimes I'll eat a not even a whole bag of chips, but like one serving of chips or something like that. So I did that, and then I'm a sweets person still. So some homemade brownies, donuttery, some gluten-free donuts, things of that nature. So I ate that stuff. But I would say my overall experience with OMAD is awesome. I really, really like it a lot. I love OMAD. It's an amazing diet. And so that was my experience on it. I'm going to do another video on what I love about OMAD so much. So this is going to be like a little series. So I'm sharing my experience, what I love, and then also some tips and also what I learned as well. So it's going to be a little series, right? So this is just kind of my experience and my story behind it. So follow me to see the rest of the story. All right. Hey, y'all. Thank you guys for watching. Thank y'all for your support. Subscribe, share, like, all of that good stuff. Everybody stay up. Take care of yourselves, y'all. Deuces.